fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The rain was a relentless curtain, turning the alley's cobblestones into a slick black mirror reflecting the garish neon of the Black Crescent district. Each drop felt like icy needles against my flushed skin, the chill warring with the heat pooling low in my belly. This district, it breathed magic, a raw, untamed energy that thrummed beneath the grime and the glittering illusions, making my pulse quicken. But it also breathed lies, and they clung to the air here, thick and cloying like the scent of sex and regret in a cheap motel. I pressed my back against the damp brick, the cold seeping through my worn leather jacket while his phantom touch seemed to burn across my collarbone. Shallow, controlled breaths, don't hyperventilate, don't let him see how he affects you. It was a ridiculous notion, of course. Kael saw everything. He always had. The scent of rain-slicked metal and something floral, something artificial clinging to the damp air, filled my nostrils. I closed my eyes, trying to ground myself. The Black Crescent wasn't a place for weakness, for longing. It was a place for survival, and I'd been surviving here, scraping by as an information broker for 5 long years. 5 years of carefully constructed walls, of burying the girl I used to be, the girl who'd fallen for a dangerous, beautiful shadow. I thought I'd purged him from my system, a foolish thought I knew even as it formed. Some poisons linger, don't they? They just mutate, becoming something different, something more insidious. Now here he was, a living, breathing reminder of everything I'd tried to forget. Then his shadow fell over me, swallowing the meager light. Kael, even in the dimness, he was a force. Broad shoulders that begged to be gripped, a lean strength that promised both protection and delicious destruction. The leather of his coat, dark as a starless night, looked impossibly soft, and I had to clench my fists to resist the urge to reach out and touch it. And those eyes, fractured emeralds, flecked with gold, that usually held a spark of dangerous amusement. Tonight they were clouded, stormy, reflecting the tempest raging within him. He was a storm made flesh, and his voice could make me wetter than the rain soaking through my clothes. But it wasn't the threat in his tone that made my blood run hot. It was the raw, aching vulnerability that laced through every word. "I'm not surprised you ratted my gang out," he said, the words clipped precise. Each syllable vibrated through me like a physical caress. "Honestly, I'm not. I'm just mad. Mad at myself for being dumb enough to start wanting you again." Wanting me, the words were a brand against my skin. He wanted asterisk me, after everything, after I'd walked away, after I'd built a life without him, a life he'd made impossible to maintain. A bitter laugh caught in my throat. He had a strange way of showing it. "Is that why you're here, Kael?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. I forced myself to meet his gaze, refusing to flinch, to express your disappointment. His jaw tightened, the muscle ticking. He didn't answer immediately, and the silence stretched, thick and heavy with unspoken accusations. The rain seemed to intensify, drumming against the corrugated iron roof of the alleyway, a frantic rhythm mirroring the beat of my heart. "Don't play innocent, Lira," he finally said, his voice a low growl. "You knew what you were doing. You handed the Crimson Hawk's shipment schedule right to Captain Valerius. You knew it would start a war." "And you think I didn't," I countered, raising an eyebrow. "You think I haven't considered the consequences? The Hawks control half the smuggling routes in the city. Valerius wants them gone. This isn't about a shipment, Kael, it's about power. And you just decided to play a game of power with the most dangerous people in the city." He took a step closer, and I could feel the heat radiating from his body, the electric hum of his magic. It was a dangerous proximity, a dance on the edge of a precipice. "Someone had to," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "The Hawks were getting too greedy. They were exploiting people, ruining lives. Someone had to stop them." The knife in his hand wasn't ostentatious, no elaborate carvings or gleaming jewels. Just a simple, brutally effective blade, reflecting the neon in a sinister dance. It didn't tremble, his grip was too steady for that, but the scent of him, that was what truly held me captive. Smoke and whiskey, a combination that made my thighs press together, mixed with the electric tang of his magic that made my own power surge in response. My own magic, carefully suppressed for years, now throbbed beneath my skin, a restless energy begging to be unleashed. "You always were a bleeding heart," he said, a flicker of something that might have been fondness crossing his features. "Even when it was stupid, even when it got you into trouble." "And you always were a cynic," I retorted, trying to inject a lightness into my tone that I didn't feel. "Even when it was cruel, even when it hurt people." He didn't respond, just continued to stare at me, his eyes searching, probing. I could feel him trying to read me, to decipher my motives. It was a familiar game, one we'd played countless times before, but this time the stakes were higher. This time there was a knife involved. "Why, Lyra?" he asked, his voice softer now, stripped of its earlier anger. "Why did you do it? Was it worth it? Risking everything, risking us?" The question hung in the air, a painful echo of a past I'd tried so hard to bury, risking us. The memory of stolen moments, of whispered promises, of a connection so intense it had threatened to consume us both, flooded my mind. It had been a reckless, dangerous love, born in the shadows and fueled by adrenaline, and it had ended badly, very badly. "It doesn't matter why," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "It's done. The information is out there. The war has begun." He lowered the knife slightly, but didn't sheath it. "You think you can just walk away from this, from me, after everything you've done?" "I have to," I said, forcing myself to hold his gaze. "I have to protect myself, and maybe I can protect others too." He let out a harsh, humorless laugh. "Protect others? You're delusional. You've just signed your own death warrant, Lyra, and you expect me to believe you're doing it to save anyone else." He took another step closer, his breath warm against my ear. "Tell me the truth, Lyra. Tell me why you really did it." I closed my eyes, bracing myself for the inevitable. The rain continued to fall, washing away the grime of the city, but it couldn't wash away the memories, the regrets, the lingering ache of a love that had burned too brightly, too quickly. "I did it," I whispered, my voice barely audible above the rain, "because I still care about you, Kael, and I couldn't stand to watch you destroy yourself." The silence that followed was deafening. I didn't dare open my eyes, afraid of what I might see in his. I waited, my heart pounding in my chest, for the blade to fall, but it didn't. Instead, I felt a calloused hand gently cup my cheek, tilting my face up towards his. His emerald eyes, still stormy, were now filled with a pain that mirrored my own. "You shouldn't have," he murmured, his voice rough with emotion. "You shouldn't have cared." And then he lowered his head and kissed me. A slow, desperate kiss that tasted of rain and regret and something dangerously close to hope.